Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to this live, interactive telephone town hall with Pennsylvania Labor and Industry Secretary Jerry Oleksiak and UC Benefits Policy Director Susan Dickinson. My name is Dirk, and I'll be moderating today's call. Now, our goal is to provide you with helpful information, answer questions, and keep you up to date on Pennsylvania's unemployment benefits programs during the COVID-19 pandemic. As I mentioned, this is an interactive forum, and we would love to hear from you. We'll be taking as many questions from participants as we possibly can live during this call. So if you have a question, you can press *3 on your telephone keypad at any time, and you'll be placed in line to speak with a member of our staff. They'll take down your name and where you're calling from. Then the next time you hear your name, you'll be live on the call and able to ask your question directly. Now, if you're streaming the event on our website, you can simply type your name and question below the streaming player. Again, to ask a question, please press *3 on your telephone keypad. Now, we do receive a lot of questions on these calls, so if we're not able to get to your question, please send us an email at uchelp@pa.gov. So let's get this call started with opening remarks from Secretary Oleksiak. Secretary, the floor is yours, sir.
Thank you, Dirk, and thank you to those of you who have joined us today for our 17th Town Hall. Let me provide some numbers for you as we start. Since March 15th, we have paid more than $27.6 billion in unemployment benefits. That's a combination of traditional unemployment, the new programs under the Federal CARES Act, and the most recent lost wages assistance program that I'll talk more about in a few minutes. Thus far, 97% of eligible claimants who filed for regular unemployment between March 15th and August 8th have either been paid or determined to be ineligible for benefits. The remaining 3% are in various stages of adjudication or waiting for further information or other clarification from employers or claimants or out-of-state wage information, various things like that. We have more than doubled our UC Service Center staff since this began, from 775 employees to 1,687 employees, and those employees have put in very close to 300,000 total overtime hours since March 15th. Adding the new staff and the training that's been done is paying off. We're making real progress in our responses to emails and phone calls, and in the wait time and in the backlogs. We last week went over 1 million emails that we have responded to, and thus far we are over 2 million responses to emails, phone calls, live chats, and our virtual assistant. And as we say every week, that's great, but it's not enough. We know that there are still folks who are eligible that we need to reach, and we are doing all we can to improve our technology, to improve our training, and to make sure that all those folks do get the benefits to which they are entitled. As far as the Lost Wages Act, this week, claimants did begin receiving payments through that program. Not Act, I'm sorry, it's the Lost Wages Program. The Lost Wages Assistance Program, as we've said before, is being done through the Federal Emergency Management Agency. It's an extra $300 per week in benefits to individuals who are fully or partially unemployed due to COVID-19. This is not a traditional unemployment program. This is done through FEMA, the Federal Emergency Management Agency. The funds have been depleted, and FEMA announced that the program would end after just 6 weeks of payment, and that became effective the week ending September 5th. So all those who are eligible from August 1st through August 1st through September 5th will receive benefits. Now, some Pennsylvanians have recently received a letter announcing that the Commonwealth was approved for 3 weeks, August 1st, August 8th, and August 15th. Since that letter was mailed, we were approved for the 3 additional weeks of August 22nd, August 29th, and September 5th. So if you are eligible for those weeks, you will be paid. L&I has already made more than 4.3 million payments to claimants since Monday, And depending on your individual situation, you can receive up to the full 6 weeks. We have not yet depleted the $2.8 billion we received from FEMA for LWA. However, we know at this point FEMA will not be providing Pennsylvania with more funding. So even if more qualified applicants come forward after our funds are depleted, we will not be able to pay them. So it's critical to apply for this funding as soon as you possibly can. To qualify for this extra funding, the program also requires that eligible individuals must have a benefit rate and dependent allowance totaling $100 or more per week in benefits, and they must receive a benefit payment for each of the available weeks from one of the following qualifying programs: our regular UC program, the Pandemic Emergency Unemployment Compensation Program, which is extended benefits, the Pandemic Unemployment Assistance for non-traditional applicants who normally wouldn't receive unemployment, through Pennsylvania's Extended Benefits Program, through the Shared Work or Short-Time Compensation Program, and through the Trade Readjustment Allowances. Excuse me. Individuals receiving benefits from these programs, with the exception of PUA and Shared Work, will need to apply for LWA by certifying one time only that their unemployment is due to COVID-19. Excuse me. PUA claimants do not have to apply because they previously certified that their unemployment was due to COVID-19, and employers in shared work programs have provided the required certification on behalf of participating employees. We completed setting up this program several weeks ahead of time and began accepting applications for benefits on September 6th, so that's why we were able to get money out the door this week. These payments are being made in one lump sum, and the date that you receive them will depend on factors outside of our control at L&I, things like how long it takes your bank to process payments and things like that. Also, after benefits are paid from a qualifying program to an individual for any of the approved dates, the payment will follow 1 week later if you have completed your certification. Applicants with computer and internet access should apply for benefits online. Paper applications are available for individuals who cannot apply online. This week, we will begin mailing applications to claimants who do not provide their email address. If you have access online, please go to uc.pa.gov/cert. Log in using your PIN as if you were filing a biweekly claim, and you can complete the certification process there. We expect that FEMA will be announcing a closing date with this, and when we can accept applications, and we will make a public announcement when that date is known. We continue on a different note to battle the PUA fraud epidemic, for lack of a better word, that is has spread across the country. It's targeting COVID-19 unemployment compensation benefits programs. We know that these are causing delays. Some of you are experiencing delays from the time you apply for PUA benefits until you are approved and payment begins. I want to make sure you know that this is due to the extra steps that we and other states now have to take to verify applicants' identities to ensure we've received a legitimate claim rather than one that is fraudulent. Believe me, we understand the frustration this causes you, but I can't stress enough how important it is for us to complete these extra steps to ensure that real people who are out of work and need those benefits receive them, and not the fraudsters who are disrupting the system. We encourage you to go to uc.pa.gov/fraud to find the list of warning signs, to find details on how to report that fraud, and to get instructions on how to return any fraudulent benefits that you may have received. So again, thank you for being with us, and Susan and I will now be happy to take your questions.
Thank you very much, Secretary. And if you have a question you would like to ask live on this call, remember *3 on your telephone keypad is how you enter the question queue. We start with Judy. Judy, welcome to the call. Go ahead with your question, please.
Hi, my question is, I am wondering how I would be eligible for the PEUC, the 13 weeks additional extension, when my initial 26 weeks is being held up with an appeal, and I haven't gotten any money yet. So if it looks to me like I'm not going to get any money until after that 13 biweeklies are filed. So how would that, transfer over into the PEUC?
Good afternoon, Judy. That is a good question. That does happen, occasionally with individuals who are waiting for appeals, and they're waiting quite a while. So once your appeal is decided, and if payment is made to you, what's going to happen is they're going to make all of those payments in a lump sum. So all the weeks that you filed for on your regular claim, which sounds like it's the full 26 weeks, once all of those are released and your payment goes to zero, then your PEUC claim gets automatically set up by the system. And so what will probably have to happen is staff will have to assist you in filing for weeks, depending on what the weeks are. I'm assuming that the PEUC claim would have started prior to current weeks. So you would just need someone to take they'll just ask you the regular questions that, the system asks every week. Have you worked? Are you able and available? Did you refuse any work? The usual questions that are in our process. And they'll do that for each week of the PEUC claim. As long as there are no issues, they will pay them. If there are issues, they'll send it to an examiner to look at. But in any case, so that's how it will flow. And of course, the UC claim, once that balance hits zero, that's when that PEUC claim can finally set up. So you just need to wait for that point, and then, staff will be able to assist you with the rest of it.
All right. Our next caller, we've got Deborah. Deborah, welcome to the call. Go ahead with your question, please.
Hi. I got a letter back in early July saying that, actually a bunch of us did, saying that I was on a jobs report, and I had a form and I filled it out and sent it back because I was not hired. A bunch of us got this and none of us were hired, but it cut off my unemployment and my 600 a week and everything. I reopened because it said to reopen your claim. So I did that, and I've been filing biweekly since. Since then, I did get a part-time job, a couple of them actually. And so I have been filing and everything, but I still haven't gotten anything. And I've been trying to get in touch with somebody since early July.
Hi, Deborah. It does sound like something is wrong there. We do get reports of people working in multiple ways, and I'll go over that in a moment. But no matter how we get the report, it might temporarily hold up your benefits for about a week and a half or so, but then your benefits should continue if no one's issued a determination to you. You should have received, if there was first of all, you would have received, information, a form or someone calling you to ask questions. And it sounds like you did receive a form and you did send that back. So at that point, the examiner who receives your information, they'll take a look at what it says, they'll make a decision, and, if there's no issue, they'll just go ahead and pay your weeks and everything will proceed. So it sounds like something is wrong there. Now, you did say that, I believe you said that you sent an email to uchelp@pa.gov, which is good. That's the right action to take. And, that way someone will be able to resolve it and get that pushed through. If there is an issue with anything on your form that you returned, if there's more questions, something along that line, then the examiner would be getting in touch with you, generally via phone. They usually call individuals. Your upfront information may be via form, but then if there's anything to reconcile after that, generally it's a phone call. So I wanted to mention how, we get different reports of individuals working. It could have been from an employer simply emailing us. That does happen. We have a account that employers can use to send information if individuals are working or if they've refused a job, they can contact us and then we could look into the situation. Or there is actually something it's a new hires reporting system. It's actually through the same system that has our work registration information. It's the Career Link system, where employers are actually mandated, and I don't know if they all realize it, but they are mandated to report all new hires to the department through that system. And then that system puts an automatic hold on your claim, but it alerts staff, and then staff sends out that form for you to fill out. So that could be another way. But in either case, it does stem from the employer. So the employer would have been the one to start the process. So I don't know if there was confusion there, or, sometimes there's confusion on the employer's parts. We've had some of them send us reports and, individuals don't even have claims. They've sent us reports for people who aren't claiming anything. They've also sent us reports, where there is no issue. Maybe the person just interviewed, but they were never hired. So it's, we do get odd reports once in a while, but for the most part, if someone is already on a claim and, there's no hire that actually happened, there shouldn't be an issue. So it is concerning that it's been a few weeks, several weeks since you've heard anything. So I would definitely recommend, if you haven't, I think you did send an email, but if you haven't, do so. Also, try calling. I talk to more and more claimants who do get through on the phone each week, sometimes multiple times. So if you try later in the week, that's usually better and easier to get through. Also, the same thing with chat, because our volumes are generally going down. It is a little easier to get through to us on chat as well, and you can give that a try.
All right, our next question comes from Donna. Donna, welcome to the call. Go ahead with your question, please.
Hi. If I was unemployed in August and received my PUA payments, but currently went back to work and not claiming anymore, am I eligible for the LWA?
Hi, Donna. Yes, you would be, as long as you were unemployed due to COVID-19 related reasons. So what you would have to do in order to receive the benefits is log into your, go to our website and log in as if you were filing a continuing claim, a biweekly claim. So log in as if you're going to file your regular biweekly claim. And there will be a button there that says apply for LWA. It's a blue button, says apply for LWA. You can click on that button and you will have just 2 questions to answer. Were you unemployed due to COVID-19, and do you want to claim this benefit? So once you answer those, then you should receive payment the following week. Unless you do this on a Friday, then it would be 2 weeks later. But as long as it's Monday through Thursday, it should be the following week that you receive your payment around the middle of the week. Now, if you, the way that it's set up in our system is that LWA button was available for individuals when they went to go file their biweekly claims. But we also had a business rule that we gave to our IT people that if someone was no longer filing and they weren't on a schedule anymore of biweekly claims, that they were just supposed to have the button there for you. So I have not heard any reports either way if it's showing up. If it's not showing up, I haven't heard a peep about it. So that could be a good thing. It could mean that there's no issues, but I just wanted to let you know that the button should be there. If you don't see the apply for LWA button, then send us an email at uchelp@pa.gov and someone can fill in the information for you. We have a screen where we can add the answers to make sure that you get submitted in the payment file. So first, I would just recommend giving it a try, and the LWA button should be available for you.
All right, next we'll segue to a couple of online questions. And our first question was submitted by David. And he asks, if you have already filed for the $300 a week program before September 10th, would the deposit go to the same account your UC funds are deposited into?
Yes. that is a very easy one. It should go into the same account. And as I just mentioned, it should be the week after you apply generally that you will receive the funds.
All right. Next question. It looks like a lot of dates in here, so we're going to need to listen closely. On July 25th, I uploaded ID and sent email to DLI Verify. August 27th, because I'm business owner, I was told to upload my 2019 personal tax return, but my claim still shows in progress. Who can I call other than the PUA line to get my claim released?
So there may be two separate issues. Of course, without seeing the claim, it's not totally clear. But the identity issue is the first one, and that was the original documentation that you had uploaded. So that's good. When it comes to the tax return, that was probably a slightly separate issue of just making sure that you are, that your rate is correct and that you are attached, to the business that you say you are. So there was probably a twofold process there, which means, that's a good sign, because the original email, that means that someone was processing that and got to the next step of they needed more verification, because it may not have been obvious. Your eligibility may not have been obvious from the first step. So if you have uploaded that, and it sounds like that was the end of August, then one of two things would happen. If they needed more information, they would reach back out, or the benefits may just be released if they have everything they need. So at this point, if you did want a status, then it would help to just send an email to ucpua@pa.gov just to check on it. It sounds like, from a procedure standpoint, I think it's just a waiting process on your end, but I know that can be frustrating to just wait around and not know what's going on. So sending an email is probably good. Also, this is a good opportunity to mention that our regular UC chat function now also provides, our staff have been trained and they can provide PUA information as well. They're not the ones who work solely on the PUA program, but they have access to the system and they can look in there and see what's going on. So if any individuals listening prefer to use chat over the other items and it hasn't been available up to now, you can use chat now for PUA and see what's going on. So that's just another option, and that's available from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday through Friday.
Janae writes, I have a redetermination letter about my claim saying it was investigated and cleared, but it's still saying I have one open issue from 5 weeks ago. I submitted my identity documents. What should I do now?
So depending on the open issue, there may not be anything further that you need to do. I know that when the identity issues are going on the claims, as we've mentioned in past town halls, that they're not, usually you can't see them. So I'm thinking if you're seeing it, then it might be a different issue, because generally our identity issues don't display. So now the other issue, depending on what it is, most issues don't need action on your part. It's more of waiting for an examiner to reach out and ask you questions. However, sometimes it's action on your part, such as the identity issue. So we have a list on our website, www.uc.pa.gov/PUA. We have a list available of all the issues in the PUA system, things that hold up payment. And they're there by number and description. I think from your view, when you look at your dashboard, it doesn't give you a number, but it gives you a description. So all the descriptions are there, and it will tell you if there's something that you need to do based on what the issue is. So if the issue is, something where you need to take action, it'll indicate it. If there's nothing that you have to do, then it's just waiting for staff to ask you whatever questions are necessary based on what the issue is. So I realize that's kind of a generic answer. Without knowing the actual issue, it's hard to say exactly what you need to do, but you can at least check out the issues list and see if something there applies to what's on your claim.
All right, and as a reminder, if you have a question you would like to ask live on this call, please press star 3 on your telephone keypad to enter the question queue. Again, star 3 if you'd like to ask a question. Now we're going to Patricia on the phone. Patricia, welcome to the call. Go ahead with your question, please.
Yes, I have a PUA claim, and it was open. Everything was fine until the first week of September. And after I filed my claim, it stated down at the bottom of my dashboard that I am monetarily ineligible. And I don't understand why I can't figure out why. And there's nothing on my dashboard except for my personal information. And I've been out of work since March 16th due to COVID. I do not have my job. This is my only employment. And my only income. And like I said, everything was fine until then. Now it's saying I'm monetarily ineligible. And I've been trying to call. I tried to do the chat. Every time I try to do the chat, they keep saying they're busy. The phone line stays busy, so I can't get in touch with anybody. And I think it's something small, but I can't get back on board. What do I do?
Hi, Patricia. That is kind of an interesting situation, only because the PUA program actually doesn't have such a thing as being not eligible on a monetary basis. If anyone doesn't have enough wages to be eligible for a higher monetary, they at least get a minimum of $195 a week. So that is actually a very unique situation. I haven't heard of anyone being told that they are monetarily ineligible for benefits, only because that's not generally an issue on that program. Since it's a disaster program, it has special rules, and monetary issues aren't really one of them. So it does sound like this is unfortunately a case that someone would have to look at very specifically, because it's not a common occurrence. So if there is some sort of an open issue, what staff will have to do is take that to an examiner, or if it is some sort of a technical problem, we may have to take that to our vendor and see what's going on, because that's not a normal type of error message, if you will. So I know you've said you've been trying to reach someone, and that has been difficult. And we do have additional staff finally helping this week. We have an additional 25 people helping us this week, and we're always hiring more. So it's a process to get everyone on board and get them to be able to offer assistance. But if you do try, as I mentioned, try calling later in the week, or if you do want to just send the email, wait on the email to ucpua@pa.gov, that could also help. And they could, once they get to your email, they'll be able to help you. So if, once benefits are released, once the issue with whatever's going on with the claim happens, if you are owed any weeks back in August, the LWA payments will also be made with those. So you don't have to worry about any separate application or requesting those or anything like that. Without seeing it, I don't quite know exactly what's going on, but that does sound like something very peculiar, not something that we see normally. So staff will definitely have to assist with that.
Our next caller is Colleen, who's joining us. Welcome to the call. Go ahead with your question, please.
Hi, I have a quick question for you. My daughter applied for regular unemployment. She was denied. She did do federal work study through the university that she worked at last year, couldn't work this year. When she went to apply for PUA, it said that one of the questions is, did you work for college or university in the past 2 years? If she answers yes, it says file for regular unemployment, but regular unemployment is telling her she's not eligible because it was federal work study. So very confused if she can apply, and if so, under what, regular or PUA?
Hi, Colleen. Yeah, the question about working at a university is generally for the university staff. Whether it be an actual teacher or whether it be janitorial services, whatever it is. So it sounds like she's in kind of a different program from that. Not exactly just a straight up regular work. The reason that we usually ask the education question is because while the school is closed during summers, during spring break, during winter break, usually individuals are they're not considered really unemployed during that time because they have the job waiting for them when the break is over. I've referred to it before. It's called reasonable assurance. They have a reasonable assurance that the job is there for them after the break. The break is just part of their normal work schedule, so it's not like they're unemployed and they can get unemployment for that time. So anyway, that's why we ask the question, and that's why we hold it up. So, depending on the nature of her employment, that's what makes the difference as to whether or not she would qualify for benefits. Off the top of my head, I'm not able to really give a determination of eligibility over the phone, but depending on the circumstances of the work, she may qualify for either program. It's possible, as a student, I'm thinking she probably doesn't qualify for regular UC. Again, I can't say for sure without the details of the case, but if that's the case, then she may qualify for PUA, but only if her unemployment is due to COVID-19. And there are reasons, since she already filed the claim, she would have seen the list of 11 reasons there. You have to choose what reason applies to you to be eligible for that program. So that could be, part of the reason, like if the school is closed, for example, she could be eligible. If she's unemployed because of another reason, not COVID related, like if her program ended or something like that, then she would not be eligible for PUA, not related to the actual job, but just related to the nature of her unemployment. So, it is tough to say without details, but that's what the examiners are looking at. So if she's received determinations in the mail that deny her, what you would want to do is simply appeal those, and then a referee would be able to take on the case, and they would kind of start from scratch. When you go into the referee process, yes, there's, documents and things that we send to the referee's office, but their job is to actually be a completely separate third party. And they'll start from scratch as if they don't have any of those things in front of them, and you get to, explain the situation. If there's an employer involved, they would explain their situation, and then the referee would proceed from there and make an independent determination, and they would issue that decision out to her. So if she hasn't appealed, that may be, if she's received denials and hasn't appealed, that may be what she wants to do next. It's hard to say, without knowing, but that's the best advice I can give you at this point is just to try to take it to the next level.
Thank you, Susan. Moving on to an online submission. And it looks like Laura says she's about to go on FMLA, half of which will be paid using her accrued time and half of which will be unpaid. She asks, can I claim UC for the unpaid weeks, and do I list the accrued time as working when I submit biweekly claims?
So for the vacation time, or not vacation time, accrued time, I guess you could say, or sick leave, depending on what your organization calls it, the paid leave, that part is considered earnings. So you would be able to, when you are filing your weekly claims or your biweekly claims, that would be reported as earnings if you're planning on going back to that same employer, like this isn't a permanent situation, but you are going to be headed back. So when it comes to the non-paid time, however, whether or not you're eligible will depend on your situation and if you'd be able and available to accept work. So let me just explain the difference from regular UC and PUA, because actually it's different on the different programs. For regular UC, you have to be able and available to accept work. So typically, and before this pandemic, we would say, if you are on some sort of FMLA or something, you are likely not able and available, because that's the whole reason you're not working, is because this other thing is taking you away from working, either a health issue of your own or your family or something like that. So typically individuals on an FMLA leave would not be eligible for unemployment. Now the pandemic came along, and the U.S. Department of Labor, who gives us all of our instructions on how to run the unemployment programs in each state, they came along and they said, you know what, for this time period, people still have to be able and available, but we really want you to be very liberal with the interpretation. As long as someone can accept work even from their home, even if whatever they do normally has never been done from home, but theoretically they could accept work from their home if it were offered to them, you can consider them able and available. But, for example, if someone really was taking care of someone full-time and couldn't even work from home because they have to provide constant care, then they're not able and available, and they would not be eligible for benefits. So that's regular UC. Now let's switch over to talk about PUA for a second. PUA, the CARES Act, specifically called out those 11 reasons that someone might be unemployed as exceptions to the able and available rule, and it's just for the PUA program. So, for example, if you yourself have COVID-19 and you are unable to work, normally in a normal world, you would not get unemployment benefits because you are not able to work. But in the PUA world, in the COVID world, in that case, you would be eligible on an able and available basis. You would be eligible for PUA because the CARES Act specifically says you can be for that reason. So I hope that helps kind of clarify what the difference is between the two programs. I know it gets complicated, and we have so many programs that are going on right now. But it really comes down to, if you're out on FMLA, are you able and available to accept some type of work? So maybe you couldn't do whatever your particular job was based on the nature of your FMLA, but maybe there is some sort of work you can do, whether it be some sort of telework or something different along those lines. So that's what makes the difference as to whether or not you could be eligible for benefits.
All right, another online submission. This one comes from Deb, who accidentally filed for a week that she shouldn't have, and she received payment for that week, and now wonders, how does she make a repayment?
Hi, Deb. So what you should do is, two things. If if the department doesn't know about it yet, and you just send us money, we'll be confused probably. So it's better to drop us an email. What we have to do, I'll give a little behind the scenes. In order to apply money to someone's claim, there has to be an overpayment. So what we would have to do is we would have to set up the overpayment in order to then apply the money to it. That's just how the system works. Now, that's not to say we don't have individuals just send us money. They do. And certainly, we don't want to turn that down. We contact them and we probably ask questions as to why they sent it, et cetera. And then at that point, we would set up the overpayment, and you would get the documents. And, then at that point, we would be able to, once the overpayment is set up, we would be able to apply that amount to the claim. And, what that does, I'm getting a little into the weeds here, but what that does is that actually raises the balance of your claim back up, so that if you did accidentally get paid earlier weeks, if some people may think nothing of it, no big deal, but but that also takes away from you getting benefits later that year if you need them. So it's good to preserve them if you need them. If you do get overpaid, pay the benefits back, and then that's back in your balance to be collected at a later time. If, in fact, you are unemployed at a later time, a lot of individuals may have to reopen their claim later in the year, et cetera. So in any case, we do have a place in our Harrisburg office where you can send overpayments checks. And again, the amount will be the total amount. So if you had any deductions on your claim, like for federal withholding, et cetera, the overpayment ends up being for the full amount, including that, even if you didn't actually receive the federal withholding and we sent it to the IRS on your behalf. We would still set up the overpayment for the full amount that was paid out that week before any deductions are done. So I just want to clarify that, because a lot of times we'll receive payments and they won't quite be for the right amount. The way our old 40-plus-year-old system works right now, there's definite, it's not like an instant thing where you can easily look up what your payment amount is and pay it. Like there's time delay by the time we receive something in the mail, by the time the overpayment gets set up, by the time someone applies the money. So it's kind of clunky with the older system. Anyone who's listening who may be using the PUA system, you have a tab there that you can go to, and it will show you what your overpayment is and how much you have. It's much nicer. So in any case, the address, I will read the address. It is on for mailing checks. It is on our website, www.uc.pa.gov. If you go to our website and you click on frequently asked questions, the FAQs, and then you click on claimants, there's a whole bunch of topics there, and one of them is the overpayment topic. And when you go to the overpayment topic, there's a whole bunch of questions, and one of them is, how do I make payments, or how do I make restitution or payments? So the payment should be sent to the Office of Unemployment Compensation Benefits, UI Payment Services, Post Office Box 67503, Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, 17106-7503. And checks and money orders can be made payable to the PAUC fund. So again, that's on our website. If you didn't catch all that, it's on our website in our frequently asked questions, and you can get the information from there.
All right, let's do another online question. This one was submitted by David, who says he received $1,500 from the last assistance program, but the email mentioned the completion of this program, the payout would be a lump sum of $1,800. What happened to the extra $300?
That's a great question, and I heard the secretary speak to it in his opening comments. It is 6 weeks. It's $1,800, and the last week will be the week ending 9/6. The reason this got confusing for individuals is because we, started communicating early to make sure people knew about this program. And the way that FEMA runs the program, because remember, it's not an unemployment program. This is a disaster program run by FEMA. They would only approve states for benefits 1 week at a time. So they approved the first 3 weeks right up front. So August 1st, August 8th, and August 15th, we put in our application, and they said, here you go. Here are your 3 weeks. You're approved for that. And, of course, we started telling individuals right away. We were excited. Here's a benefit for you that you can apply for. But since then we had another week approved, and we can't apply for weeks in advance. We had to do it after the week was over. So as we applied for a week, we then had to wait for approval. As we knew more weeks were available, we would adjust our, any of our things on our website. We would adjust any of our emails. We would adjust all of our communications to reflect the additional weeks. But, of course, this was still before the program was declared to have an end date. So, they were just kind of in progress. As we learned more, we shared more. So then an individual who may have received a paper letter from us with 3 weeks may have then a week later received an email from us with 5 weeks. And that's the reason why. It's just because as time went on, we were approved for more benefits, and then we adjusted everything accordingly. So just before we made, actually it might have been the same day that we made our first round of payments, that was when the U.S. Department of Labor let us know in conjunction with FEMA that the week ending 9/5 would be the last week of the program. So it's definitely 6 weeks from August 1st through September 5th. It'll be those 6 weeks, and then there's no more weeks payable after that, as FEMA has let the states know that the program has run out of funding, so there won't be any additional payments after that.
All right, let's move back to the callers. We've got Drake joining us now. Welcome to the call. What is your question, Drake? Hello, Drake. Are you with us? We'll see if we can get back to Drake. Moving forward to Gary. Gary, welcome to the call. Go ahead with your question, please. Hello, Gary.
Yes, I'm here. I'm on unemployment, and I filed in July, and it says I'm good. I got my Rely card. I got my PIN number. I have not received any money from unemployment. It keeps saying file every 2 weeks, and I've been filing, and it says my Rely card's good, my claims are good, but I have not received any benefits at all, and I cannot talk to anyone. They just I've called 2,000 times to the unemployment office. Just keeps going to busy.
Hi, Gary. So for July 17th, that was about 2 months ago, this is around the time if you have an issue about something to do with your eligibility on your claim. This is around the time that typically you would hear from someone to sort out the issue. They have additional questions to ask you. So from everything you've told me, most things about your claim have gone smoothly. It's set up. You've been filing for your weeks. You said you received approval. So that approval that you receive is based on your work history. It's what we call a monetary approval or a financial determination. And that's simply based on math. That does the math. It looks back in your base year and it sees that you have enough wages, enough credit weeks to qualify for a claim, because you have to have enough of a work history in order to qualify for a claim. So you've jumped that hurdle, which is good. You've qualified for the claim, but that's not all when it comes to unemployment. There's other hurdles you have to jump. Since you've been successfully filing, the system's allowing you to file, you have your PIN, everything is good, that tells me that there is a non-monetary issue on your claim, which would have come from the way you answered the questions in the beginning of the claim. I'm not saying it's your fault that you made a mistake or anything like that. That's not it at all. Instead, you answered truthfully, and one of those questions has something to do with unemployment law, where we have to look further and see if you are eligible or not. Some of the questions on our initial application, for example, it asks if you have a pension. It asks if you've worked at an educational institution. It asks why you're not working anymore. Have you been fired? Have you quit? Are you still working? All of those questions that you answered on your initial application have an outcome depending on how you answer. So, we may have mentioned it on this call before. I know we have on media calls. There's 19 different paths a claim can take when someone files, and only one of those paths is the approval path that doesn't need any human intervention. The other 18 paths have some sort of an eligibility issue that has to be looked into. So since it has been about 2 months, this is about the time that normally you'd be hearing an outcome and receiving your benefits or not. I hear you've called 2,000 times and that, is excessive. Right now we're still dealing with the pandemic volumes. It goes down every week, which is good, but it's still larger than life type volumes that we've never seen before, even now. So, you have, if you, I don't recall if you said you've sent an email. If you haven't, please do. Chances are it really is just in the works, waiting to have someone contact you or send you a form if they can't get you by phone, to be able to ask questions about that situation, whatever it is that you answered on your initial claim, in order to determine whether or not you can receive benefits. And then once they do once they do make that determination, if they decide that you are not eligible for benefits, they'll issue you a determination. It will explain the law. It'll say why you can't be eligible for unemployment based on, the circumstances. And then you have the option to appeal that to a referee. If you are eligible, they'll issue you a determination anyway, probably, and it will say that you're eligible. And at the time they issue it, they're also going to make all your payments to you. So that's the importance of filing, making sure that you file every 2 weeks and that you don't miss and get off your schedule. Keep filing every 2 weeks, and then at the time that you're eligible, all of that will be able to be paid to you all at once. And that way it'll make up all the back weeks. So, if you're just looking, I know right now it's tough to wait because you've been waiting for so long. But, if you, want to just kind of get an update on things, my best advice is to send an email, because that's generally a little better than the phone. Some people receive an email in return from us the same day. So that might be a little bit easier for you to do.
Joining us now on the phone is Sarah. Welcome to the call, Sarah. What is your question?
My question is, I filed my biweekly claim on Sunday, got my payment on Wednesday, but have not gotten anything from the LWA program. So when will that come?
Hi, Sarah. That will come next week. So since you filed this Sunday, you probably filled out the application this Sunday as well, in which case all of the payments for LWA for the week are submitted by us to Treasury on Thursday night, which is tonight. So your LWA would be submitted tonight. And then next week, generally around Tuesday, Wednesday, is when you would see the payment, sometimes as early as Monday, depends on the person's bank if you have direct deposit. So you should be looking for your payments around Wednesday of next week. I don't know if you've been on an unemployment claim prior to LWA, but the FPUC program, if you are familiar with that, it worked the same exact way. So if you, got paid for your benefits, you filed on Sunday, you got paid by like Wednesday or so, your FPUC payment, the $600 payment, didn't get submitted until Thursday night, and then you would see it the following week. So you were always getting your FPUC payments a week after you were receiving your regular base unemployment payments. So that's what you can expect out of LWA as well.
All right, another call. We've got Winter on the line with us. Winter, welcome. What is your question?
Hi. So my question is, I had received the PUA, approval that I was going to be able to get my money or whatever. So I was issued checks, but I had moved, so my checks were, I guess, either lost in the mail or they don't forward to my new address. And I had uploaded everything as far as like my change of address, like proof of that. I uploaded my ID, social security card, birth certificate, everything. And I haven't received anything, but the checks were issued out. It says that they were paid out. Every week I go and file. I still file because I haven't been receiving anything. But my claim still is saying in progress. So my question is how do I track down my checks, and how do I figure out what's wrong with my claim?
Hi, Winter. Actually, since those checks were already issued to you, and you're correct, they don't get forwarded. There's a couple things in our business that don't get forwarded, and that's actual checks and also PIN numbers. If you move somewhere else, you will not get your PIN number. You would have to you'd have to change your address with us. In any case, that's a sidebar. When it comes to the actual checks, what you can do is you can contact Pennsylvania Treasury and they can reissue checks. And I'll quickly give you their phone number. Now, Pennsylvania Treasury, their phone number is also on our website, on our Contact Us page. So if you just go to uc.pa.gov, there's a blue button at the bottom of the first main page that says Contact Us. And if you go to our Contact Us page, it has all of the different contacts, for various unemployment claim issues. So for Pennsylvania Treasury, their phone number is 877-869-1956. And so they can issue check replacements. Now, if you did move, if there was no moving or out-of-state address or anything like that, they will simply reissue the check, which is an easy process. They have you fill out, I believe, a check tracer form, and then once you can do that, you can get the check. Now, when it comes to moving, like if your address is different than what we have, or if you have an out-of-state address, then what's going to happen is just one more step. They're going to check with, Treasury is going to check with the Department of Labor and Industry just to make sure there's no fraudulent activity happening. So they'll end up sending your information to us. We'll have to look at the claim, see if there's any fraud flags or anything like that that would, prevent us from reissuing a check or sending it to a different address than what we have on record. Your first step, though, would be to contact Treasury, and then they will take it from there in the process of trying to get the check reissued to you.
Just taking a quick look at the clock, it looks like we need to begin to wrap this up. So I want to thank you for participating in today's L&I Town Hall. We appreciate the opportunity to speak directly with you and answer your questions. So, Secretary Oleksiak, do you have any closing thoughts or comments for us?
Thank you, Dirk, and thank you to everyone who joined us. We appreciate the opportunity to answer these questions and hope you find it helpful. So thank you.
So as a reminder, a great way to stay informed with Pennsylvania's labor and industry updates, visit www.uc.pa.gov. And if we weren't able to answer your question today, please send an email to uchelp@pa.gov. Thanks again to everyone for taking the time to participate in this call. We hope you stay healthy and safe. Have a spectacular day.
Thank you.